Hey, it's Rev. You've probably noticed I haven't uploaded in quite a while. It's mostly just because I've been busy with school and other life-related stuff, but I've finally got the motivation and energy to upload a video now, and it's not because of the special date. Rather, I noticed I was only a few dollars away from my AdSense withdrawal threshold, and so please give me that YouTube engagement. Anyways, what I have for you today is a quite compact 2x2 seamless glass hipster door. It's fairly fast to close, as well as open, although it is a bit longer just because it relies on a cobweb timer. So it waits here, and it finishes up. And it's not the smallest by any means. So here it is. Uh, However, it is still quite compact, and it is quite a bit faster than the smallest ones just because it doesn't rely on various hopper ROMs or other forms of timing in it. So here's the closing again. There's no cooldown or anything. And here's opening. And so it waits here for the cobweb timer to finish. And just like that, it finishes up. Well, it does look like it's somewhat expandable. It's not, just because the back here and how these two pistons are powered. However, with some modifications and adding another ledge to the back, you could probably make this expandable, but I'll leave that as a challenge if someone else wants to try. Anyways, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so to build this, you're going to need a 3x8x5 area, and your floor block will be the 6th block off the ground. So we can start with the layout. And you're going to just need sticky pistons, normal pistons, and some block, as well as some immovable block of your choice. And we'll start by coming to the 4th block from the back. This is where we'll build our triple extender. So we'll go 1 block off the very bottom from where we're building and build the triple extender there. Then on the back side, we're going to build a 4x4 grid of sticky pistons. Then we're going to come 4 blocks onto the other side and do 2 normal pistons and then 2 sticky pistons. And this is also where we'll put our door block right there. So 2 rows of glass. And then we'll put our floor block up here. We're going to have our movable blocks right below our door block here. And I guess we can also just place our observers here, which will be used to power the pistons when they're in the floor. So that's the layout. Fairly simple. So now we'll start on our input block, which is going to be this one right here. And it has to be a note block, or a dropper or something. Just because we're going to take an observer output from it. So we can put a lever here, and then we're first going to make a hopper timer here, and we're going to take an output from it from a comparator sitting right here next to our input block, and we'll have an observer which detects it. Just lock this for now, and we'll put 3 items in it. Actually, we'll first leave this unlocked here and put a torch right there. So all the items should be in this hopper here, and this comparator should be off. Then from here, we're going to have a note block, and then another piston, or another observer here. This will go into a sticky piston here, which we'll use later. From there, we're going to have a slab coming out with a 3-tick repeater right here, which goes into another note block with redstone on top. And we'll have 2 observers facing up into this piston. I'm going to destroy this one for now because we're going to Well, first we'll place an observer here, and then another repeater on top on 2 ticks. And now we can put our piston here, our observer here back. Place 2 observers here facing right into this space here, and then 2 blocks right there. Finally, we'll place 2 more redstone here. 2 note blocks, which this redstone powers, and then 2 more observers, which power our immovable block. Finally, we're gonna have an observer facing down here, and then one facing into the block that this piston faces into, and a redstone on top, like that. And this will be used later. Okay, so before we get any further, we're gonna do our minecart stuff here, just so we don't have to destroy any other stuff. So we can start first by placing an observer facing down here, which our minecart will be on top of. And then we can take a fence gate and place it on top of this observer. 2 blocks like that. You can put a rail on top. And then our minecart. I'm just going to use a furnace minecart since you can't interact with it. And we're going to push it into our fence gate here. Then we can destroy all that. And then we can take an observer right here, and we're just going to 0 tick push it into this minecart here so we don't disturb it. So you can do that by placing a sticky piston. It has to be sticky. And then placing the button on the side and press it, and it'll destroy the button and 0 tick the block in. Note that it does have to be on the side. If you put it on the back, it won't create the right pulse. And then we can place a string on top of the observer, and this is what will detect the minecart. And we're also going to take our cobweb and place it under this torch, which will get the minecart stuck in it, so it increases the length of our pulse. And now we can place our normal piston right here, which will push our minecart up. So I can demonstrate that real quick. Just like that. It gets stuck in, and then once this minecart falls back down, it'll make another pulse. And this will get powered by this observer here, which will bud power immovable block right here. And this is why we need this observer here, because it goes off at just the right time to update this piston from the bud power it receives. From there, we're going to have an observer coming out, which will power a note block. We're going to place a redstone on top as well, and a 3-tick repeater from there. And this is what we'll use to power the bottom part of our triple. We're going to have 2 observers coming out like that, and next is going to go into 2 more observers which power our bottom pistons. And now, the interesting way that we power these blocks here is we're going to have 2 sticky pistons here, and 2 blocks like that. And the way that this works is that note blocks will make a pulse whenever, or to an observer whenever the block beneath them changes. So when I push this out, because the block changes from block of wool to a piston head, it will make a pulse, and same thing happens when I retract it. So what happens when we power this circuit now is it'll push our pistons into the floor where they can get powered to grab the blocks at this height. And then we can power it one more time, and it'll pull them back in. It doesn't do it to this piston, but that's fine because we have another circuit that will deal with that. So now for the rest of the door, it mostly fits into this area here, and we'll start by building a sort of long observer chain. Actually, this has to be on a slab right here. 3-tick repeater, like that. We'll have an observer facing there, another observer out, one more out like this, and then the last one facing up into this block, which will power the redstone here. And then for the final piece, we're going to have 2 observers going up into this hopper which we placed earlier. An observer right here, taking an output from that hopper. This goes into a 4-tick repeater right here. And this will power the piston here, which creates a falling edge. And we have a 3-tick repeater right here, which we take an observer output from, and which powers the redstone right here, which powers all these pistons. So we can just fix the layout, and this should be the entire door finish. So I guess we can test it. That's closing, works as intended. And now we have opening. Okay, so the last thing is make sure that for these 2 pistons here, these blocks start beneath the note block when the door is closed. Well, it sort of looks like this is a toggle. The position is important because it alters the delay for when it spits it out and pulls it back in. And besides that, if you don't like your note blocks making sound when your door's operating, you can just place a string here or any other block on top, which will silence it. And besides that, we should be good. So just like that, the door closes. And wait for the hopper timer to finish, or the cobweb timer to finish. And that's the opening. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks for watching. See everyone in another 6 months.